All right. All right. How's it going, everyone? So I'm teaming up here with Zach, and we're wanting to put out a 4 or 5 series episodes here on some of the basic living things that we think are really important on getting a good solid foundation fitness journey going. Um, and well, Zach, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so my name is Zack Taylor. I'm a fitness and nutrition coach. Been doing it for a little while now as a personal trainer previously. Uh, and we just want to make sure that as many people as possible are set up for success as they're entering their journey into the fitness and the nutrition space. So we wanted to start off today talking about sleep, of all things, being the bedrock of all progress that you're ever going to make. So
Absolutely.
that being said, Kyler, why don't you get us into it?
Yeah, man. So I know a lot of people try to burn the midnight oil as they call it, or they're like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead or whatever. And I know even some people who know that sleep is important, but they still even think like evolutionary, like why do we even need to sleep?
Right.
Um, and through a lot of things that I could look up, this is a pretty cool way to explain it, I thought. But one of these studies, they found that the sleep kind of plays as like a housekeeping role that actually removes the toxins from your brain that build up while you're awake, like this cortisol, this, like all these other things that build up. And so it's kind of like like when you're done with dinner at the end of the night and you clean up the kitchen, like if you don't, it's going to start building up and getting worse and worse and then compounding. And that's what a lot of people deal with.
Yeah, actually, speaking to that, when I was doing my research, I saw that sleep it removes a particular protein that's actually connected with Alzheimer's, and I had no idea about that. So, like,
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, the more and better quality sleep you get could possibly keep Alzheimer's and even dementia from happening to later on.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, honestly, especially with, all the research coming out and we're kind of finding out like all these things like connecting and stuff like that. And it's
Hmm.
kind of wild how like just trying to take care of your basics really seems to wipe away a lot of these all-cause mortalities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that actually kind of leads into the next one that we want to talk about, which is like the healthy stats or things that people can really do to make sure the sleep is coming off good. Um, Something that I looked up was the site called a sleep hygiene routine, which essentially is just creating a good routine. And I think they use hygiene because a lot of people don't think about taking a shower every day, brushing their teeth, like putting on clean clothes. So getting a schedule down for your sleep routine that is almost like second nature is going to be a big deal because at the end of the night, you're tired, you just want to go to bed, you're going to skip a lot of things. So, just kind of going down the list here of what I found here was, have a fixed routine, maintain the regular schedule, even on the weekends, do your best to sleep as close to the same time.
Hmm.
Uh, Optimize your sleep space, like making sure it's cool, it's dark, it's quiet. Making sure that you're keeping your pillows up to date, don't let them have the life beat out of them, and you're like cramming them up to get a little bit of support. Uh, Even try your best to keep the electronics all the way out of the bedroom. I know it's hard. Like I use my phone as my alarm clock and my sleep sounds, um, but just keeping it out of the bedroom will help with you not messing with it before bed.
Hmm.
Um, and then definitely you got to get active during the day, and you got to kind of expend some of that energy.
Yep. I actually wanted to make a point on that, considering we're both in relationships, and I tend to actually like the room much cooler than my wife
Mm-hmm.
does. I run
Yep.
hotter. So a tip for that that's been helpful for me is I have a tower fan that is pointed on me and me only. Leaves her
Me too.
alone. Keeps me cool during the night. Yeah, it
Yeah.
helps a lot.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny to say that. I have a fan that's like pointed directly at me and me only too.
Yep. In saying that though, getting to bed at a certain time every night, it's typically going to set people up to have a consistent amount of sleep as well, especially if they're keeping those electronics away. And so, one of the stats that I wanted to get to actually was the need to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night for an adult. And the crazy thing about it is, I think it was over a third. I think it was about 35% of adults do not get 7 hours or more.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And then so, like with children, for anybody who has kids, children need about 9 hours. And then
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, 8 to 10. So they're about the same. But there's that myth out there that as you get older, you don't need as much sleep. Turns out that's completely false. The
Oh yeah.
reality is, as you get older with aches and pains, and typically you're starting to take medication in your older age as well, you are actually getting less quality sleep, even if you
Mm-hmm.
spend the same amount of time in bed. So, yeah, technically an adult needs a little less than like say a child, but as you start to get into the older years, that quality actually starts to diminish. So it's even more important for you to spend that maybe extra 30 minutes to an hour in the bedroom or in bed just to wind down and
Mm-hmm.
sleep.
Yeah, I really like that advice. Something like, just to be like totally open and realistic with everyone that's watching, like trying to not have the phone on an hour before bed is hard. I
Mhm.
get it. It's hard. Um, not having caffeine later in the day. I don't struggle with that, but I know a lot of people that struggle with having caffeine 3, 4, or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm one of those people that I kind of just, I have my cup of coffee in the morning. It's a little bit bigger than one cup, but I just have that one and I'm done. And it's just done and out of the way. I don't have any more caffeine the rest of the day. And that's just how it's always been. Um, but I know a lot of people struggle with those things. So I think what you're saying has got some good nuggets in it, because if you just take that little bit of time to just lay down, like say you need the 8 hours of sleep, so then you lay down at 8.5 hours before your alarm's going to go off, and you give yourself that 30 minutes to just naturally relax in bed and actually fall asleep. And then you're not losing out on that 30 to 45 minutes in sleep, which can make a massive difference at the end of the night.
Yeah. And that 30 minutes being an extra 30 minutes where you're not doing anything but laying there.
Hmm.
Like you said, like keeping those electronics far away from you as possible. See, I've struggled with it, and I know people that have struggled with it too. Is like there's almost this boredom right before you go
Hmm.
to sleep, you know? Whereas if you just allow yourself to just lie there in darkness, like
Yeah.
you're gonna fall asleep eventually. Like you really will.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to accept boredom because some nights it is a little bit harder. I do understand that, but eventually it'll happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Something something that I think can kind of help bridge the gap there, because at the end of the day, if you're reading a story, your brain's still active and it's still not calming down.
Mhm.
But my wife and I, we like to read a book. Like she'll read a book to me one night and then I'll read the next chapter to her the next night, and we'll kind of go back and forth on that. And that's like our last 20 to 30 minutes before bed, is us reading to each other. Um, and it's by like a soft light that's in the corner. It's not overhead of us. So even though it is kind of a little bit brighter light, it's not in our face. And that's something that helps a lot, because yeah, it's really, it's hard. I get it. With so much ways to distract yourself around it, it's hard to just get away from it and then accept that boredom, like you
Yeah,
said.
even getting away from the TV in the living room or the kitchen, wherever you have your TV, even just getting away from that at the end of the night and giving yourself that time to get ready for bed and to
Hmm.
be in bed. Like a lot of times, me and my wife both, we'll stay up and we'll watch Netflix and we'll look at the clock and be like, I should already be in bed by now.
Yeah.
Like so it's
Yeah.
just good to have that routine. It really does set you
Yeah.
up for success.
I agree with you. Yeah. Um, so I know the next one was kind of like the negative effects on sleep. Have you want to talk about that? Um, and
Mhm.
one study that I pulled up I thought was like kind of a big highlighter of how much this is a huge factor in just your overall lifestyle and what it will lead to, is this one said people who get 5 hours or less of sleep per night are 20% more likely to be diagnosed with a chronic disease and 40% more likely to be diagnosed with two or more chronic diseases over 25 years in comparison to those who slept for 7 hours or more.
Wow.
So that's a pretty big thing, you know. And I know there's a lot of, kind of like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of small things that have proven to do that, you know, sleep, you know, cold plunging, working out, like they all wipe away, it seems, a lot of these percentages for all cause mortalities. So
Yeah.
I just thought that was an interesting one about the, you know, positive and negatives weighing out there.
Yeah. And to that, one of the first things that jumped out to me was how inadequate sleep contributes to obesity,
Mm-hmm.
diabetes, and heart disease. Like those three in particular seem like the most common effects of inadequate sleep over time. So, like the one that actually surprised me a little bit was how it contributes to obesity. And that, like, if you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle, but you're not sleeping, you're kind of fighting against the current.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like you know, it's like this vicious cycle of there's something about that poor sleep that, and I think I heard before, it's like your body chasing the happiness or the boost of that.
Hmm.
And food is something obviously that humans and a lot of other things enjoy, but humans especially, we do all this intricate cooking and making it taste so flavorful. And um after a short night of sleep, I personally noticed that your cravings for some reason just go up. Like you want crappy food, you want pizza, you want ice cream, you want burgers, you know, you want all these like super savory. Um, I can't think of a single time where I got a poor night of sleep and I was like, you know, give me that chicken salad, man. Like never.
Yeah, I think what it is the body's looking for that quick hit of energy because that's what
Mm,
we feel like we need. That's why like it's so much easier to reach for the coffee or for, anything caffeinated really. And then you go for the quick, like simple sugars, just trying to get something quick because the body's like, I'm desperate for energy right now.
that's a fantastic point. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, One thing, a stat that I saw that I don't want to get like too morbid, but I think that it really paints a picture of how dangerous it actually can be to not get enough sleep. I saw a statistic that said there are 6,000 car accident fatalities every
Ooh,
year in the United States attributed to drowsy driving.
wow.
Yeah. Like
And then
I didn't even want to really, I didn't put that in my notes because I was like, do I say that? But it just like, it never left the brain. I was like, that's insane.
that
That's
is.
crazy. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, that's kind of scary to think of,
Yeah.
but sometimes people
Dang.
get sick in the butt.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's something that, you know, people need to think about, is that it bleeds over to everything. You know, your cravings, your actions, your habits, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know. And that's
Hmm.
like you know, leading into the last point that we wanted to get was, you know, the opposite side, you know, what are the good effects that you're gonna get from good sleep, other than, you know, not falling asleep behind the wheel. So
Yeah.
uh you're gonna get sick less often. Your immune
Mm.
system's gonna be way more robust and working better. Alluding to what you just said, you're gonna stay at a healthy weight. Naturally, your body is gonna keep you at a more harmonious homeostasis level. Um, and as I said before, it'll lower your risk for serious health problems like diabetes and heart disease. It reduces your stress. It improves your mood. Uh, you can think more clearly and do better because you're allowing your brain to do that cleaning processing in the night. And ironically, with all that stuff working together, you're just going to get along better with a lot of people around you. You're going to be a lot more agreeable. You're going to be way more open to listen. You're not going to be as agitated. So there's
Mm.
just, the list could keep going on and on, but there's so many good reasons to work on your sleep. Even when it's not perfect, when you have that sleep routine to fall back on, it's so much better than it would have been.
Yeah. Yeah. You actually hit literally all of the points that I had written down too. But there is one thing that I want to mention based on what you said, the immune system function and not getting
Hmm.
sick as often. The reason for that is going back to something that we said very early on in this conversation. The the repair that happens to the body while we sleep is not just for the muscles and it's not just for the brain. The immune system itself actually gets
Mm.
repaired while we sleep as well. I mean, the study that I saw said that it said verbatim, blood vessels to the immune system. So like everything in the body gets
Wow.
repaired while we sleep. Yeah.
And
So it's
sleep is
like,
vital.
yeah, it's like taking our body to the auto shop and just like getting
Yeah,
it, but you do it every single night.
that's crazy.
Hmm.
Man, that's wild to think about. Sleep's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk about just like some things that we do, some tips that people can use to improve their sleep just quickly?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end it. Give people some like actionable items to kind of like
Mhm.
go for. Um, so me, I kind of have this like 2-1-3 method is kind of what I call it, but it's like no food 2 hours before bed, no
Mhm.
drinks 1 hour before bed, and no electronics or loud sounds after or 30 minutes before bed.
Yeah.
And to me, I've kind of played with it a little bit. And for me personally, that is the closest I can stretch it to not have any sleep disruptions.
Yeah.
Um, that and then I have a bunch of Himalayan salt lamp plugins all over my house. They're like 15 bucks on Amazon for a 2 pack. So like for 40-ish bucks, you could light your entire house with that. And I'm notorious for that. The last like 30, 45 minutes before bed, I'm turning all the lights off, flicking all those on.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Mood lighting, set the mood
yeah.
for bedtime for sure. And that one to me, what we usually do at our house is as soon as it's dark outside, it's
Mm,
mood lighting. We hardly use our overhead lighting, any fluorescent lighting, unless we're in the kitchen, obviously, because you need to really see what you're doing when you're cooking and stuff.
yeah.
But the rest of our house is kind of like dark and moody, but it really like primes us to be able to go to bed at a reasonable hour. And I
Hmm.
actually want to add another number to your 213. I'm going to put in 8 because I personally have a no caffeine 8 hours before bed rule.
Okay. I like that one.
That one seems to always work for me. And it's like, even if you feel like you're, you have a high tolerance to caffeine, which I feel like I do, if I have some after that point in the day, it may not keep me up all night, but I definitely find that it's just harder to fall asleep.
Hmm.
And so that's where supplements come into play, I would say, even more so. The big one for me, huge, and we talked about this before, magnesium. There it is.
That one.
Yep. Magnesium glycinate. I hope I'm
Actually need
saying
some.
that.
I'm almost out.
And I actually added L-theanine to my sleep.
Mm. Why
That
is
one,
that?
honestly, I saw the Huberman sleep stack
Hmm.
vitamin. He had one other one, but I was like, I don't need to go that hard. I just want to add one more, see what happens.
Yeah.
As he would describe it, magnesium helps keep us asleep, and then the L-theanine helps us to just kind of like start to wind down and calm down.
Mm.
So you kind of have that doubling effect of coming down to sleep and then staying there.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I like that. I like that. Well, I don't think I really have anything else to add in on the subject of sleep. I feel like we kind of just hammered it home pretty good. I think, anybody watching is going to have a good amount of information to go forward with. And I mean, I'd be very surprised. And I'd probably have a lot of questions for you if you tried everything that we just mentioned and your sleep doesn't improve at all. Um, yeah, definitely think you have some bigger things to work on because like I said, I don't think there's really much more. I mean, this is an important thing, but it's also pretty simple to get right if you put a little bit of work into it.
Yep.
So I think we gave a lot of great information today. You got anything else to share?
Only thing else I have is to tune in next week and we'll be talking about nutrition.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm
Next,
excited for that one.
it's going to be good.
We'll release our nutrition segment on things around Thanksgiving, so it'll be perfect timing for that. So,
Oh, yeah. Get everybody ready to make better choices.
oh yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll do our best to we'll try our best not to make it Thanksgiving themed, but I'm sure it'll leak over a little bit into it.
I
Uh
think I might come in with a turkey suit on.
if you gotta do what you gotta do. I understand. I support it.
All right,
Yeah.
man. That's
All
all
right.
I got.
I like it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.